It has never been easier for a man and a woman to find each other. And perhaps it has never been easier for them to believe that someone better is only one more swipe away. We have more ways to meet, more ways to communicate, and more freedom to leave than any generation before us. Yet many people seem less certain about what a relationship is supposed to be. The old rules no longer fit. The new rules have not been agreed upon. And somewhere between those two realities, men and women are trying to build intimacy with instructions written for a different century. So where are relationships going? The easy answer is that everything is getting worse. Men are becoming colder. Women are becoming more demanding. Dating apps have destroyed romance. Social media has destroyed trust. Everyone is selfish. Nobody wants commitment. And civilization will apparently end because somebody left a message on "seen." It is a dramatic story. Dramatic stories travel well online. But I don't think relationships are simply dying. I think they are changing from something people were expected to enter into something they must actively choose. That sounds like progress. In many ways it is, but choice creates a kind of difficulty that obligation used to hide. For much of history, relationships were tied to survival, family duty, money, children, and social acceptance. Love could exist inside that structure, but it was not always the architect. Today, more men and women can construct a life outside a traditional partnership. A relationship is becoming less necessary as an institution and more demanding as an emotional experience. If two people no longer have to stay together, they need a reason to keep choosing each other. And because this is what adults do, is losing its power. Modern relationships are expected to provide romance, friendship, attraction, emotional safety, financial cooperation, growth, adventure, stability, and the freedom to remain ourselves, preferably from one person, without becoming bored, while both people maintain careers, friendships, family responsibilities, and an attractive presence on the internet. It is an ambitious little project, perhaps too ambitious. We often want contradictory things without admitting it. We want honesty without discomfort, security with constant excitement, independence without distance, and acceptance while quietly hoping the other person will improve. Then technology enters the room and offers to help. Technology is very good at increasing access. It is less successful at teaching us what to do with access. Dating platforms can connect people across distance and social circles. That is real value. But the same design can encourage us to evaluate human beings with the speed normally reserved for products. A photograph, a sentence, a job, a gesture to the left or right. Working with luxury footwear has taught me something about choice. A larger selection can help a person find exactly what suits them. But after a certain point, more choice does not always create more certainty. Sometimes it creates a new suspicion. Perhaps the perfect pair is still somewhere else. Shoes are allowed to be selected like products. People suffer when we treat them the same way. When potential partners appear as an endless catalogue, attention changes. Instead of asking, "Who is this person?" we begin asking, "How does this option compare?" The first question creates curiosity. The second creates a permanent audition. And nobody is especially relaxed while being auditioned. Dating apps are not evil, but the habits of the marketplace can follow us after the first meeting. We may continue comparing while sitting across from someone who is trying to be known. The result is a strange form of abundance. Many people have access to more faces and less intimacy, more messages and fewer conversations, more attention and less confidence that the attention means anything. But technology is only part of the change. The deeper tension comes from the fact that men and women are renegotiating their roles while still carrying emotional expectations from the old ones. Many women no longer need a man in the same practical way earlier generations may have. That does not remove the desire for love, tenderness, or commitment. It means those things must coexist with autonomy. Many men were taught that their value comes from usefulness: provide, solve, protect, endure. But in a world where a woman can provide for herself, some men are left with an uncomfortable question. If I am not needed in the old way, how do I become wanted in a new way? That question can produce growth. It can also produce anger. Some men hear women's independence as rejection. Some women hear men's uncertainty as weakness. Both reactions are understandable at a distance and destructive up close. Because a person is not a social category when sitting beside you at 2 in the morning. He is not men today. She is not modern women. Categories can describe patterns, but they cannot hold a relationship together. Only two specific people can do that. The old model gave men and women roles, even when those roles were restrictive or unfair. The emerging model gives them negotiation. Who sacrifices when careers collide? What counts as loyalty online? How much privacy should exist inside commitment? What does protection mean when it is no longer only physical or financial? There is no universal answer. That is precisely the difficulty. Every couple now has to write part of its own constitution, and many people begin writing only after the first Civil War. This brings us to the third change, and perhaps the most important one. Modern relationships depend less on endurance and more on emotional ability, not endless patience with bad behavior. Not staying at any cost. I mean the ability to remain present when closeness becomes uncomfortable. Attraction is easy when it confirms us. Intimacy becomes real when another person sees something inconvenient. Yet escape has never had more assistance. If a conversation becomes painful, there is a screen. If a partner disappoints us, the internet can provide a community explaining why an entire gender is defective. Algorithms are excellent at converting private pain into public certainty. A man has one painful relationship and learns that women cannot be trusted. A woman has one painful relationship and learns that men are emotionally unavailable. The conclusion protects them from confusion. It also protects them from meeting the next person honestly. Cynicism can look like wisdom because it speaks with confidence. But often, it is disappointment that has learned better vocabulary. The future of relationships may depend on whether men and women can resist turning wounds into identities. Experience should teach us. Boundaries matter, and leaving can be the healthiest decision available. But there is a difference between recognizing danger and expecting betrayal everywhere. One protects your life, the other slowly empties it. So are relationships becoming worse? Some are. Freedom includes the freedom to behave badly. People can keep one foot outside the relationship while demanding that the other person stand fully inside it. But relationships also have the possibility of becoming more honest than before. When a woman does not have to stay, her decision to stay can mean more. When a man is valued for more than his income or utility, he has the chance to be known as a complete person. When roles are discussed instead of assumed, two people can build something that actually belongs to them. The price of that freedom is responsibility. We have to say what we want, hear what the other person wants, and discover whether those two realities can live in the same home. The future is probably neither a return to the old contract, nor a world where relationships disappear. Human beings remain inconveniently human. We still want to be seen, chosen, understood, and missed. But perhaps relationships are moving towards something more voluntary, more negotiated, and more revealing. The question will no longer be only, what role can you perform for me? It will increasingly become, what kind of life do we create when neither of us is forced to be here? That question removes many comforting scripts. But it also leaves room for a different kind of commitment. Not two people trapped by necessity, and not two consumers endlessly searching for an upgrade, but two adults who understand that freedom is not the opposite of commitment. Freedom is what makes commitment meaningful. I don't know whether men and women will become closer or move further apart. Anyone who claims to know is probably selling either nostalgia or panic. But I suspect the strongest relationships will belong to people who can see past both. People who can meet a person instead of a category. Who can communicate without turning every disagreement into a verdict. Who can remain independent without treating dependence as humiliation. Who can offer love without using it to purchase obedience. The old rules are fading. That is frightening. It is also an invitation. Perhaps relationships are not approaching their end. Perhaps they are approaching the moment when men and women have to decide what being together is actually for. What do you think we are gaining in modern relationships, and what are we quietly losing?